Yes, I. Thanks for tuning in. This is Black Sun. Welcome to Crystal Delphia. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself at this time. You already know. Get thanks for strength. Stay focused. And make sure that you're growing. I inscribe strength, focus, and growth on the red, yellow, and green candles. See? You can inscribe whatever you want on your candle. When you understand the science of colors and candles and what each color represents, then you can inscribe on the candle something that is aligned with the frequency that the color carries. You already know. So, there is a natural mystic blowing through the air, and if you listen carefully, now you will hear. You already know. Scop, scop, sky, sky, scop, scop, sky, sky. There is a land far, far away, where there's no night, there's only day. Look into the book of life, and you will see that there's a land far, far away. There is a book of life, see? And this book of life is not the Bible. It's not the Torah. It's not the Quran. It's actually not any Abrahamic literature. The book of Enoch, none of it. It's none of the Buddhist texts. There has been several books that have been claimed to be influenced by the gods or influenced by God or inspired by the divine, so on and so on. We can get lost in books and scriptures, see? And as we reasoned before in other reasoning sessions, we reasoned about the fact that the scriptures is written on the heart of man, see? And when I say that, I mean all scriptures, all divine thought, see? Hold on one second. On this candle here, I inscribe divine thoughts. See? So when you inscribe divine thought on your candle with the intention of having divine thought, you will have divine thoughts. You already know. Now, today, we're going to talk about roots and culture. Now, you might hear this terminology used a lot in a lot of reggae music. See? Roots and culture, you know? And I've always been drawn to that energy. You know, I've always been drawn to that grassroots type vibration and anything dealing with roots and culture as indigenous people worldwide, not just people in Africa or my indigenous people here. You know, I'm into world culture, see? And I've always had, I guess, a thirst to know world culture so that I can be able to relate and reason with anybody from anywhere. You know, well, I can't speak all languages, but I figured at least if I can study your school of thought, if you do speak English, I will be able to reason with you. See? So, I'm into world culture. And sad to say, a lot of brothers who scream the roots and culture, when you bring them to the root, they run away. See? All these people want to talk roots, and I the root and all that. That's cool. But how come when you start to show them even their own African customs and the culture that the indigenous people were dealing with, you run back to your Christo-Judaic dogma that's cloaked under a Afrocentric look or a Moorish look, or you look indigenous, but your mind state is still under the deception of I would say the Vatican. So you got Vaticanized and indigenous culturally looking people. So people are good at looking cultural, especially in 2019. People got dashiki and just, we look real cultural now. But it's not about looking culture. It's not about wearing a fez and how many swirls you can do with your fez. I seen this one guy, he sat there and he did all these hand symbols and foot symbols, and and he moved his fez around like it was a helicopter. I'm like, yo, this guy is about to turn into Inspector Gadget on me. Like, he got his go fez going on, like go fez. We're indigenous, and just fly away. You know what I mean? I gotta crack a couple jokes, guys. You know what I mean? For those who've been traveling and building with the red, black, and green for some time, you can laugh at these things because you know what I'm talking about. Black people love to look indigenous. We love to look like how we looked 2,000 years ago. So you see a Mighty Morphin Power Hebrew Israelites. And I'm not saying this to be arrogant. I'm just saying this just to have fun, man. Listen, I come in my own self, man. I bust jokes on myself, too. So, it ain't, anybody could get it when it comes to jokes, especially if you know me. I normally don't do too much joking on this channel because I be reasoning with you guys on a higher vibrational level. And I don't want my jokes to come across as if I'm just coming at everybody neck. But, after a while, you guys should, have grasped a little bit of my personality, and you know who I am. So now I think I could joke with you guys a little bit. We've been reasoning for some time now. Okay? So, roots and culture. Now, one of the questions I always had as a youth, and I think a lot of people subconsciously or consciously have this question. The question is, before we had religion as what we know today, especially the Abrahamic religions, what did indigenous people believe in? What was our customs? What was our way of life before we were colonized? And when I say colonized, that is just a light, gentle way of saying before we were brainwashed. See, Bob Marley said, we build your penitentiaries, we build your schools. Brainwash education to make us your fools. See? So, yes, we go off to their brainwash academies and their brainwash universities that we build, or that they build upon us and our gnosis or knowledge. See? So, as they showed us even in their history, or even the history that they even showed us, which is not even the true history, but there is some pieces of truth in it. So even in what they showed us and taught us, they taught us that at one point we spoke a different language, and we were colonized. And I ain't even going to say enslaved and none of that. We were colonized. I'm going to use the gentle words for you guys. And and we and after colonialism, we began to speak English. And this English language was forced upon us through colonization. Seen? Yes, even slavery was part of the colonization process. Anyway, colonization comes in many different ways. Enslavement is just one of them. But first they must enslave your mind. So when they come to colonize you, they're coming in the name of God, coming in the name of Jesus, or whatever holy book that they hold in their hand. They're coming in the name of that to justify what they do. See? Anyway, so just from that little bit of knowledge, which is, you don't even got to read a history book. You can watch TV. And you can watch, the little shows they show at Black History Month, and it'll show you that, you was not allowed to speak your original tongue. Now, we know that, of course, before colonization, we were multilingual people. We spoke many different languages. We spoke multiple languages, so, it's not like we just had one language, We traded with each other, and whenever you trade and you have business with each other, and you communicate with each other on a global tip, you're always going to speak more than one language until you're colonized, and then you're just forced to speak this English fuckery. Excuse me for my French, but we ain't speaking French. See? This whole language is some fuckery. You know what I mean? So that's why I said, and I reasoned with you guys before, yes, I have divine thoughts inscribed on the candle, but sometimes it is hard to find the right word in this filthy language to translate a divine thought in. Seen? It's so pure as a thought, it can't even come out in this filthy language. So, yes, it is good to learn some type of indigenous language, see, and to learn linguistics and to learn etymology and those things, so that you won't be deceived by sound vibration. You already know. When you understand the words that you utter, and you understand the words that you read and hear other people's utter, then you can't be deceived by word sound. See? So, give thanks. There's been many people who've broke that science of, words down. I'm not going to get into that. This is not an etymology lecture, but we're talking about roots and culture. So let's go. As you see, you can see some so-called Native American energy going on here. Because, yes, Yamasee all day. You see some red, yellow, and green going on here. Yes, Ethiopia all day. See? See Christadelphia right there. See? Christadelphia is what's going on in the now. Christadelphia is now culture. I love indigenous people culture, but I've have all of this in my blood. Since over here in this melting pot, our DNA has all been mixed up. So we are not only have different cultures all in our DNA, from having sex with everybody on the planet and coming to America, or everyone coming to America and having sex, whatever the case may be. This is a melting pot of DNA. We reasoned on that before. So, because, of the Yamasee, who is also the same family of the Washita, and, of course I'm a Moor. Of course, we know, if you're still on the who you are and are you a Moor, Hebrew Israelite, and you're still on the nationality war that's going on, people still beefing over nationality. When you truly gain enlightenment, you understand that your soul really has no nationality. So even, it's crazy. Anyway, it was they showed this, it's on YouTube. I forget, it's about kids who remembered their past life. And there's a bunch of children that was explaining events from their past lives, and their parents started to investigate into them. And then, and they found out that the story that the children was explaining was linking up exactly with the people that they said they were. So they like, well, damn, my child remembers his past life. You can, I forget the name of it right now, but you can Google it yourself. There's videos on it about children breaking down their past lives. See? And there was this one white boy that remembered being a black soldier, seen in his past life, and he was explaining certain things. He had certain scars and birthmarks that matched with the way he died. And the point is, that white boy remembered being a black man. So, for all of you people who are still stuck on nationality, your soul has no nationality, seen. So, I mean, you do receive a nationality when you come into the physical realm. Yes, and it's good to have cultural pride and ethnic pride and things. If you from a certain area, you're gonna rep that area. It's human nature to do that. You rep your block, you rep your hood, you rep whatever it is. That's pride. You know what I'm saying? And your geographical location and culture. See, so when we're dealing with roots and culture, I took them back to the root, seeing Rasta. So I have been seeking for the root for a long time, and I always been told the more you seek for the root, the more you find I, the more you find us. See? So the more I dug and the more I seek, I went back to the original of all of the originals, even the original concept. And I explained this 1,000 times. The original concept of God was the womb. It was the mother, way before there was any male deity. So if we're going to go back to the root, why not go back to the root? But this is how you can find out who's the real deal in culture, because the ones who scream the culture, when you show them culture, they run away. With the ones who really know, the indigenous ones, they gonna grab their peace pipe and say Ashe. See? So this is in the now culture. I could talk about how Native American chiefs smoked out of peace pipes and all of that, and they wore feathers and all that. That's cool. But what is my people doing in the now? And since all of that's in my DNA, because I am a new being, not a Nubian, a new being. And since I'm a new being in this lifetime, a mixture of all the DNAs that created a new DNA, making me a new being, or so-called a new race. And if it's a new day, and if it's a New times. And if it's a new feeling, then it's a new sign. Oh, what a new day. You picking up? Are you picking up now? Sing. So let me know if you're picking up. But most of the times, them don't pick up till like 10 or 15 years later. It's cool as long as you pick up. You know, everyone will eventually gain enlightenment on their own time. See? So, maybe not in this life cycle, but they will all get there. This plant will eventually gain enlightenment. Well, who am I to say that the plant isn't already enlightened now? So every being will eventually gain enlightenment. We're all connected to the all, you know. See? So, I took them back to Mama Amma too. Your brother, Dr. York, taught about Mother Amma too as well. So I'm glad for that. I don't get into all of his teachings, but you know, he had a couple jewels, and I take from everybody. See, but I'm always seeking and searching and researching. See, so this is the root. The not worship, because I don't worship anything. Worship is an English word, and plus worship, whatever the case may be. When you're dealing with etymology, that word sounds weird. What the hell is a worship, or what is it? Anyway, to make a long story short, the word worship is a word that we just now started using. So, yes, I pay homage to things. I emulate things, and you know what I mean. But I don't worship anything. I don't worship no man, nor no woman, or whatever the case may be, because the word worship is not in my dictionary. But common mortals need the word worship to grasp certain things. See? So if you want to use that horrible word worship, you know, the original worship was the worship of the womb. See? And you are now in tune on the one, the force itself at this time. So where's your culture? What are the Moors and the Hebrew Israelites and the Ethiopians and all of these people doing today? The culture they promote today, with this sodomite agenda, is actually anti-cultural. But hey, whatever. I'm not going to get into that because I got my culture, so I ain't worried about the next person's culture. See? Get thanks. Go back to the root. Embrace some type of culture, please. Because with the cosmology I deal with, since all the prophets and priests come from the womb, I can tap into any cosmology and be anything at any given moment. Because this is a universal cosmology. See? You are now in tune. You already know.